Hello everyone and welcome back to Milo Farms. It's the next day, midday, after we have installed the 3 packages of bees. This morning I removed the empty packages that were sitting in front of the entrances. All the bees had come out and moved in overnight. As best I can tell, everything looks to be going quite well. The bees are out exploring and coming back and look to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. So this is the first hive that we installed last night. This is the second one that we installed last night. And this is the third. They all seem to be doing about the same. Everything looks like it's doing pretty well. So coming up in just a second, we're going to switch to a video that is from a GoPro, and it's just a video that is an overview basically of the whole thing that we did last night. It's edited a little bit just to cut some parts out, but it's basically straight through installing all 3 packages. So we'd like everybody to check out our other channel that we have as well, which is Mrs. Milo Farms. And please like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so we have our hive here. It's all set up. We previously set it up so it was ready to go.
Well, don't commentary too much.
And we want to take 3 frames out of the center to make room for the bees.
Why 3? Is that really it?
Yeah.
We're not going to have the lower feeder though.
Huh?
Okay.
What?
We don't have the lower feeder though.
No, you put them back in a second.
Oh, okay.
Alright, let's start. So that blew that one.
No, it's fine. Stop, we're doing this together, Jake. Just come on.
Okay.
We can edit it out.
Well, we can't edit that part. Okay. So we took 3 frames out to make room for the bees. They're going to go back in a minute, but we took them out to make the room for the bees.
Okay.
So we have the bees here.
Sugar water?
And we want to spray them with the sugar water. And in doing that, we're wetting them down, so it's going to give them something to do. It's going to make them stick together and kind of keep them occupied. And then what we want to do is kind of what they call bumping them down. So you just kind of bounce it a couple times, not hurting them, it's just bouncing them down towards the bottom, getting them off the lid up here.
Is that enough?
And then we want to do the other side one more time. So you can see they're all kind of down, but they are starting to crawl back up. But they're kind of stuck together in a wad right now.
The sugar water is also homemade, so we'll see if it works.
So then what we're going to want to do is we're going to pry out this can. This is the feed that they've been eating while they've been in transport. I'm not sure how long they've been in transport for, but this is the feed that they've been eating.
Just let him go. Fine, just let him go.
Okay, so then we want to take our queen that's supposed to be attached to this cage right here, and we want to get her out. And we want to do that without letting too many bees out, but some of them will be getting out.
You're gonna spray him?
So in here,
You're gonna spray him?
we have our queen, and she's in there walking around.
You're gonna spray him?
And then per the instructions that we were given from the gentleman that did gave
Jake,
us our...
She's angry. Do you want me to spray her?
Her? No.
Okay.
Per the instructions that we were given from
She
the
needs to be on the
gentleman that gave us our bees, we want to pop the plug out and we want to install a gumdrop in place of the plug. So there's the gumdrop.
Can you make sure she's down though?
And then we have all the bees on here.
She's way at the top. You want me to put my whole finger over it? Do not let her out. Go!
So there's our gumdrop.
You might need to.
And we're kind of pressing the gumdrop inside per the instructions that the gentleman gave us.
Did it go inside? Did it go?
There's the gumdrop, and the queen is inside. You can see it kind of protruding out there a little bit. And what he kind of said was get the extra off of here. And so now what you have is you have the queen inside of the box with the gumdrop plug. He also said what you could do is you could texture the end a little bit if you wanted to make it easier for the bees to start chewing on it. So now we're at the point that we're going to put the queen in the box, and what you want to do is the queen needs to still be fed and taken care of, and if you put the queen in like this, the other bees can't get to the screen to take care of the queen. So you have to put the queen in sideways like this between the frames, and then bend the tab over was the instructions that the gentleman gave us. That way the queen is suspended in there and the other bees can eat the candy out and release the queen into the hive.
Would you like me to spray the bees one more time?
So we'll get them up here.
You want to spray them?
Let's tap them down one more time.
Spray them?
And we'll spray them one more time, and then we're going to try to dump them in. Okay, so we've got our queen in place, and we're going to give this a try. We dumped out as many as we can dump out, and then we're going to take the box that the remainder of them are in and lean it up against the front of the hive. The rest of the bees will smell where their queen is and will work their way in the next few hours. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move the cage over, or excuse me, move the frame over. The queen is in there, she's facing the appropriate direction, she has the candy plug, and we're going to put our last 3 frames back into the hive. And we don't want to just shove them in there, we want to put them in slowly because the bees need to be able to move out of the way as they come in and not get killed. And if you kind of set it there, you can feel the bees move and the frame will just drop right into place. So we're going to put the last one in here. Then we're going to take our hive tool and we want to tighten the frames all up to each other. We have about the same spacing on each side. Tightening the frames up to each other. Obviously you can't tighten up the one that has the queen in between it, but she's in there, she's secure, she didn't fall down or anything. Now we're going to get our pollen patty. We're going to take our pollen patty, we're going to lay it over in the corner, then we're going to take our inner cover and we're going to put our inner cover on. You don't want to just drop it on because you can squish the bees, so you want to put it on at an angle. Make sure you don't have any bees under it, and then you want to slowly twist it into place. So twisting it into place and making it square. The rest of the hive's all squared up. We've got our entrance reducer reduced down to the smallest size. And now what we want to do is we want to put our top feeder on. This is how the bees are going to eat. The hole right in the top here goes into the hole in the feeder. Set that right there. And now we're going to fill the feeder.
You want me to do it so you don't get sticky on your hands?
I think we'll be okay. I actually think I can probably dump it right here.
Because they may not like it if you have sticky on your hands.
If a little bit does get spilled, the bees will clean it up. This particular feeder is supposed to hold about a gallon. We kind of tested that a little bit. And it seems to be about in that area as a gallon. We'll check back on these in about 4 days. So there's our feeder. Want to make sure we don't have any bees trapped in there. There we go. We've got our medium body, and all that does on top is just keep the feeder protected. Then we can feed or refill it, and we'll show a video on that in a few days when we check on these queens to see if they got released. And then we want to put the cover on without any bees being trapped inside. So that concludes installing one package. That went pretty well. Nobody got stung, didn't have any problems. Went pretty well, better than what I'd expected it would be. It was actually pretty easy. So we're going to let this sit now, and in 4 days we're going to come back and we're going to check on it. We're going to make sure that that queen was released through that candy plug, which in this case was the gumdrop, and make sure they're eating. And then later on we'll come back and we'll check again to make sure we have some brood and some comb getting put in there. The queen's already been mated before we bought her, so she should be all ready to go. They should be in there. Should be happy as soon as she gets some comb, because this is all brand new equipment. They'll build some comb. We'll get the queen laying, and we should be in business. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have all of our equipment here. What we're going to do first is we're going to take the cover off and get the hive all ready. We've got the cover, we've got the medium hive body, and we've got the inner cover. We're going to take out 3 frames in the middle. That's where the bees are going to get dumped into. All of this is new equipment, so there's no comb or anything on it. It does have, as you can see here, it has plastic foundation with some beeswax that's been kind of put on it from the factory, but it's all got the shapes of the comb on it and everything, so they're going to build that material back out into their honeycomb that they need. So we've got our package of bees right here. We're going to take the package and we're going to spray them with the sugar water. The sugar water isn't hurting them or anything, it's just kind of sticking them together so they're kind of a blob, and it's going to keep them occupied while we're doing this process. It's going to make them kind of sticky, make them kind of stick together, and give them something to do. They're going to be licking each other off and cleaning each other up. So we're going to bounce it down a couple times, not hurting them, it's just getting them off the ceiling in there. We're spray them just a little bit more. You can see all of them are up there because that's where the queen was on that side. So we're going to start with pulling our can out here. This can had the food in it that they were eating while they were in transport. I don't know how long they were in transport, but this can has a sugar syrup in it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slide this piece of cardboard under here in hopes that we don't have as many escapes while we're trying to do this. Okay, then what we've got over here is we've got our queen cage is on this little metal tab. What we want to do is pull this cardboard just enough to the side to get the queen out without getting too many other bees out with her. There's definitely going to be some bees on her because she's putting out her pheromones. And what we want to do now is we want to remove the plug that's on the queen cage. And this is per the instructions from the gentleman we got the bees from. Quite often they will have down in the end of the queen cage, they'll have a candy already in there. And all you do is uncover the candy and then the bees will eat that out to get the queen out. But in this case it just has a cork. So what we want to do is we want to get that cork out, but we do not want to release the queen. So we want to get the cork out, and we don't want her to escape in the process. And this is a little difficult because I kind of got some sugar syrup and stuff on my hands now. It's all sticky. So we've got our queen in there. She's kind of down at the other end. We're going to put our candy on there and kind of push it in and see it kind of ooze out the other side. And then just kind of break the excess off. So we've got our queen in there, and there's some other bees that are trying to take care of her. The queen has to be able to be fed once she gets into the box. So what we want to do is we want to put her in between a frame so the bees can still get to her and feed her. If we take her and we put her in like this and put the screen side up against the comb, they're not going to be able to feed the queen and she's going to die. So what we want to do is we want to put her sideways like this, and we want to put her up to the top so she's kind of pinned right there, and we want to use this metal thing, this metal tab, and bend it over the edge like that. Again, my fingers are all sticky and this is making it kind of complicated, but that's okay. So we've got everything ready to go. We've got everything prepared here. We've got the space for our bees to go into. One more time, we're going to bounce them back down. And we'll spray them just a little bit more, just to make sure they're kind of occupied doing something here. My spray bottle's not the best here. And here we go. Just gonna dump them right on in. Now we're going to take this package and we're going to set it right up here in front, lean it up against the front. The others will figure out the plan where the queen is, and they will follow her in, follow in her direction in there. So we're going to take our frames and put them back in. We do not want to just shove the frames in here and squish the bees. We want to set them in kindly, and we want to let the bees kind of get out of the way. You'll sort of feel the frame will kind of work its way down slowly. The bees are getting out of the way from underneath it. They're not getting crushed. They're kind of moving, spreading out in there, and the frame will kind of drop into place. We got the next one. Kind of drop it in nicely. And then we have the last one here. And again, we don't want to just shove it in there. We want to set it in nicely. Then we want to use our hive tool. And we want to tighten up the hive, the frames, just a little bit. so they're all centered as best they can. Obviously the one with the queen in it cannot be pushed tight, but the rest of them can be. Then we're going to take our pollen patty, put it over here in the corner. And we're going to take our inner cover, and again we're going to set it down here nicely. We don't want to squish any bees if we don't have to. We want to just nicely move it in, get the bees out of the way, and then we want to center it up. We've got our Hive Top Feeder. We have the hole in the center of the inner cover. We also have the hole in the feeder. They go right on top of each other. Center that right there. And we're going to dump some more syrup into this one. This feeder is supposed to hold about a gallon. It may hold just a little bit more than that. But in the center, it has little serrations all the way around there, and kind of like a ladder. The bees can climb up it, then they'll climb over the top and get to that sugar water, and then they can eat that. We'll get the lid on here. We can already see a bees coming up in there exploring a little bit. We're going to get this taken care of before too many more get in there. We put our medium hive body on top. Nothing inside of it. It's just protecting the feeder. In about 4 days we'll check back on this. We might have to give them some more feed. We'll make sure the queen has been released. Make sure everything's looking good. And what we want to do is get this cover on and get that all closed up. So that's hive number 2 installed. Okay.
Cool.
All right. All right.
Guys, you can get your stuff down?
Yep. Should have order here.
Definitely a lot more bees than the first time.
How many are loose here?
There's a lot of them loose. But a lot of them are staying in their cage. It's not like they're coming out.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm sure. Oh,
Why are you gonna fuck a duck, Jake?
no, we don't need to include that.
I'm gonna include it on mine.
No.
So we eat the butthole of a skunk.
Negative.
And we fuck a duck.
Include that.
That's definitely a new one I haven't heard.
Okay.
Ready? All spray? Okay.
she's bigger. You can see her tail end is longer, much longer compared to her wings. dump this little bit that's left in that first one in the feeder.
I mean,